As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm Dr. Anthony Levatino, and in the early part of my career as an OBGYN, I performed over 1,200 abortions. One day, after completing one of those abortions, I looked at the remains of a preborn child whose life I had ended, and all I could see was someone's son or daughter. I came to realize that killing a baby at any stage of pregnancy for any reason is wrong. I want you to know today, no matter where you're at or what you've done, you can change. Make a decision today to protect the preborn. This is a SOFR clamp. A SOFR clamp is made of stainless steel. It's about 13 inches long. The abortionist uses this clamp to grasp an arm or leg. Once he has a firm grip, the abortionist pulls hard in order to tear the limb from the baby's body. One by one, the rest of the limbs are removed, along with the intestines, the spine, and the heart and lungs. Usually the most difficult part of the procedure is extracting the baby's head, which is about the size of a large plum at 20 weeks. The head is grasped and crushed.
That's not a blob of tissue. It is a baby. It's a baby.
Misoprostol alone will also work to end a pregnancy and is still safe. We will review both options in this video series. Mifepristone and misoprostol cause the opening of the uterus to relax and the walls of the uterus to contract. This results in bleeding and cramping, which pushes the pregnancy out of the body, just like a miscarriage. An abortion with pills will work to end a pregnancy almost every time.
Did you know that birth control pills actually cause early silent abortions? Most people think that birth control pills simply prevent a woman from getting pregnant, which is sometimes the case. However, birth control pills also act as an abortifacient, snuffing out a young life that has already begun. Not only that, but the Bible actually condemns other birth control methods as well. In our modern society, birth controls is something that most people take for granted and have never even questioned. But we as Christians are commanded by the Bible to prove all things. And in the course of this film, you will learn the shocking truth about birth control.
Now, it is very shocking to see that there are some contraceptive pills or family planning which causes abortion in the early age. We know that life begins at fertilization. Life begins at fertilization. Fertilization is the process whereby those two seeds, the seed of a man and a woman, they meet together. When they meet, that is fertilization, and that's where life starts. And this one can be supported by the book of Psalms 139:16, which the Bible says, "Your eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, that the eyes of God saw my substance when it was unperfect, when it was not even formed. And in your book all my members were written, which in continuous were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them." That the eyes of God saw him when he was still in his mother's womb, and when he was just a substance. When you look in this first image, in the fertilization, that is just a substance. There is no image, there is no form. It is not perfect, but the Bible says, "My eyes saw my substance." So even if it's just a small egg, or just a substance which is unformed, or the baby is not formed, as you can see in the picture, that one is still a human. And so life begins at fertilization. And what those pills and contraceptives they do, they abort, they do away with this seed when it is still young. They terminate this seed, they terminate this substance. Through pills, the abortion happens when the baby is still small, as a little seed or a little substance. And this is called the early abortion. This is abortion. Listen to this woman, how she explained about this abortion, of early abortion in the through the pills.
Does the pill kill? Well, the short answer is yes. Yes. The birth control pill, as well as IUDs, kill babies. The medical community has known this for 50 years. This is how it happens. The birth control pill works in 3 ways. It can prevent the release of an egg from the ovary or ovulation. However, while using the pill, women can and do experience breakthrough ovulation. meaning that an egg is released and available for fertilization, and it changes the lining of the uterus. This makes it difficult, but not impossible, for the 5 to 7 day old baby to attach to the lining, where a baby would receive the nourishment needed to grow. If the baby does not successfully attach to the lining, she dies and is expelled. And this process is known as chemical abortion.
That's not a blob of tissue. It is a baby. It's a baby.
These pills prevent pregnancy both by stopping ovulation and by preventing implantation. When ovulation never occurs, no child is conceived. But sometimes ovulation does happen. If the egg is fertilized but implantation does not occur, a silent abortion happens. A silent abortion happens. A silent abortion happens. The embryo, which is already alive, dies.
For this reason, the contraceptive pill also works as an abortifacient.
We have people that are ready to be killed. We have the unborn children that are being killed every day, and there is no one to speak on their behalf. Today I stand here as a watchman to speak on behalf of the children that have not been born.
What is it? You know what the purpose of marriage is. This ain't a trick question. What is the purpose? To be fruitful and multiply, right? I mean, that's the commandment that God gave to us, that God gave to Adam, that God gave to Noah, and he told him to be fruitful and multiply.
And by the way, if you go to Planned Parenthood's website, they'll tell you birth control was invented in ancient Egypt. That's what Planned Parenthood says on their website. The oldest known birth control we found was found in ancient Egypt, and the Bible here shows us a contrast of God's people being fruitful, multiplying, and increasing abundantly.
According to the courts of the United States, you're allowed to kill the baby as long as the baby gets dead before he comes out into the air. According to the courts of the United States, you're allowed to kill the baby as long as the baby gets dead before he comes out into the air.
That's not a blob of tissue. It is a baby. It's a baby.
Cut up the aborted babies within minutes after their death and ship the pieces on ice either by UPS or Federal Express to those agencies who had sent in purchase orders. The baby parts trafficking industry began to spread.
When we did our financial investigation of this thing, that a lot of money is being made on it.
The partial birth abortions are done thousands of times a year.
The public out there has no clue of what's going on behind these closed doors.
That's not a blob of tissue. It is a baby. It's a baby. That's not a blob of tissue. It is a baby. It's a baby.
Reason this woman, how she used to work with the college and schools. They would go and they would advise young girls about sexual sin and about using pills. And now after using pills, they would recommend them pills which were not helping them, and they would get pregnant. After getting pregnant, those girls would call them and they would be shown how to do abortion. Look at this, how the devil has brought sex education in the school colleges just to increase abortion. That when they do abortion, those baby, their body parts, they could be sold, or they said there is a market for that thing. How evil is our generation, is our world becoming?
I sold abortions. We went into the schools with sex education programs that we knew would increase the sexual activity and therefore the pregnancy rate. Our goals were simple: get the children to laugh about their parents and their values because they were so embarrassed they would not go home and tell their parents what we talked about. We became the sexual experts in their life. We asked the girls to come in for well woman exams. Come to us. We'll help you be safe from getting pregnant. And sadly, that was a lie, because we prescribed a low-dose birth control pill we knew the girls would get pregnant on. And when she got pregnant, or feared she was pregnant, what would she do? She would call us. We were the sexual experts. We were the ones with the card, free pregnancy tests, licensed counselors. And she called that number not recognizing we only sold one product.
I looked her straight in the eye and I said, "Daphne, I killed my baby." See, we were raging feminists at the time, so for me to say something like that to her just blew her away. And she said, "No, Rhonda, what are you talking about? That's not what you did. You can choose when you're going to be a mother. It's your body. It's your choice."
They told us abortion was a quick, simple, easy procedure. 20 minutes, you never have to think about it again.
They explained it to me that it was a blob, that it wasn't anything yet.
And she told me that it wasn't even a baby yet, that it was just a clump of cells. And I didn't know anything about fetal development, so I believed her.
This girl doesn't know what a sonogram looks like early. She's been told it's a blob of tissue. Here's a blob on the screen. This is the pregnancy experts saying, there it is, you're pregnant. And then grab her by the bony part of the elbow and squeeze. Do you have your money? Can you do it today?
They put the gown on and, do your paperwork, and you're put on this really cold table.
They laid me on this steel cold table.
The doctor came in and he didn't look at me, he didn't talk to me, and he didn't acknowledge me. He began to work on me, and I remember feeling horrifying cramps, and it was worse than they had ever told me.
The sound of that vacuum machine, I'll never forget that noise.
The sound of this machine was like this ghoulish generator, and then the pain hit me.
It was excruciating pain.
The force of that abortion, I literally felt like my soul was being sucked out that day.
And what I thought about was, how could something that's a woman's right cause so much pain?
I was bleeding profusely and didn't know what I was going to do.
And I remember putting on my mask, going to church, crying myself to sleep every night in your arms still. And we would just justify it and say we did what we had to do. But for 12 years, that went on.
I became very promiscuous. I started drinking more, taking drugs.
More sexual relationships, more promiscuity that ended up in 5 more pregnancies and 5 more abortions.
Guilt haunted me. Shame followed me.
I would grieve for my 2 children that I wanted so desperately, and I know I could never have. I wanted to meet them. I wanted to see what they would have looked like, their voices.
I lay on the table and started thinking, how am I going to tell my husband that I'm not going to be able to have children with him? It was the reality of knowing that the only 3 children I would ever bear, I killed.
I am 46 years old today, and I have no living children. The children that God put in my womb, I took the life of each one of them. And in my deepest, darkest hour, where death was calling me, suicide was haunting my thoughts, the Lord Jesus Christ revealed himself to me.
That's not a blob of tissue. It is a baby. It's a baby. It is a baby. It's a baby.